Hello, my friends, and welcome back to On Becoming. I'm your host, Trisha Rago, certified conscious uncoupling and relationship coach. And today we're diving into one of the most empowering chapters of your healing journey. This is episode number 4, Reclaiming Your Power and Your Life. And it's about how we can shift from victimhood to self-reflection, break out of those old patterns, and rewrite your story. If you're here, chances are you're in the middle of a breakup, a heartbreak, a life transition, and you're trying to understand how to move forward without repeating the same painful patterns. Today, I'm going to help you do exactly that. You know, breakups have this way of making us feel powerless. Everything feels like it's happening to you. The loss, the uncertainty, the emotional roller coaster, and the stories that your mind keeps looping. And it's easy to slip into that narrative of, I was blindsided. I certainly felt that way in my case. Or he just didn't care. Or I gave everything and got nothing. Why does this always happen to me? If any of that sounds familiar, please hear this. There is nothing wrong with having those feelings. Those thoughts come from a nervous system trying to make sense of overwhelming loss. But staying in that place, that victimized perspective, keeps you trapped in a very small version of your story. One where you have no agency, no choice, no influence or power. And that is simply not the truth of who you are. You are capable of so much more. And the truth is that these things are not happening to you. They are happening through you. Now, this next part can feel a little tender because I'm going to ask you to do something that most of us aren't taught to do. I want you to pause, take a breath, and gently reflect on this question. How might I have contributed, consciously or unconsciously, to what happened in our relationship, to what led up to a separation and ultimately a divorce? What was my part? Now, this is not about blame, and it's not about shame, and it's absolutely not about making yourself wrong. But what this is really about is self-reflection, which is one of the most powerful tools you have. When you start to see yourself as the source of your experiences, meaning the creator of your choices, of your boundaries and your patterns, and ultimately your reactions, something incredible happens. You begin to reclaim the power you thought you lost. You begin to see that maybe you ignored a lot of red flags. Maybe you overfunctioned in the relationship, or maybe you abandoned your own needs. Maybe you stayed silent when your heart really just needed you to speak. And quite frankly, maybe you kept choosing a familiar pain because it matched an old wound. And again, this is not about fault. This is about clarity. Because clarity is power. And when you can see your own participation in an honest and compassionate way, you unlock the ability to course correct. And that, my friend, is where transformation begins. So let's talk about the danger of telling a one-sided story. After a breakup, we all start telling a story. It's a story about what happened, about what they did, about how we were hurt, a story about why it ended. And most of the time, that story is not the full story. It's the pain story. It's the version where the other person is the villain and you are the casualty. And here's why that's dangerous. The story you tell becomes the story you believe. And the story you believe becomes the pattern you repeat. So if you remain the powerless victim in your story, then your future relationships could very well be built on that same foundation. Today, I want you to shift into a more complex, a more nuanced, and a more truthful perspective. And here's what that could sound like. So instead of saying, he ruined everything, try saying, we were two people with old wounds doing the best we knew how. Instead of saying, he didn't love me enough, you could try, we both loved with the level of capacity we had at the time. Rather than saying, he broke me, try saying, yes, I was deeply hurt, and now I'm learning what my heart needs and deserves. Can you see the difference? One story traps you, and the other story frees you. And this is where we begin creating something new. In order to avoid repeating those old patterns, we probably have to start doing things differently. Here's what I mean. First of all, we need to identify what the old pattern is. So you can start asking yourself questions like, what relationship dynamic have I repeated there? Do I often choose unavailable partners? Do I lose myself in a relationship? That's a big one for most of us. Do I stay too long? Do I avoid conflict? Do I attach too quickly? Do I shrink in order to be loved? Naming your pattern is the first act of liberation. Identify the wound beneath the pattern is going to be really, really important. In my practice with my clients, we work a lot on identifying the old wounds from our childhood. We call this identifying the source fracture wound. If you've been listening to the podcast, you've heard me talk about this before. I believe I introduced it in our first episode. Patterns are never random. They're protective responses to old emotional injuries. And they are the defense mechanisms that we develop in childhood in order to protect ourselves. Maybe the wound is abandonment, or maybe it's not feeling worthy. Maybe it's the belief that love must be earned, or that peace requires self-silencing. I think when you understand the wound, the pattern suddenly makes sense. And when you do, we then need to create a new empowered practice. This is your course correction. For example, if you overgive, maybe practice receiving. If you normally silence yourself, practice expressing your needs. If you notice that you attach too quickly, practice slowing down step by step. If you feel that you ignored a lot of red flags, then maybe you need to start practicing how to stay rooted in the truth. If you fear abandonment, for example, practice grounding in self-trust. Every time you choose the new behavior, you rewrite the pattern. You rewrite your identity, and you then rewrite your future. Let's talk about what it could feel like to reclaim your power. Reclaiming your power isn't loud, it isn't aggressive, and it isn't about winning or proving anything. Power in this context feels like calm clarity, deep knowing, self-respect, emotional adulthood, responsibility without shame, compassion toward yourself, the ability to say, I get to choose how this story goes now. And when you shift from all of this happened to me to this happened through me, not to me, and now I'm growing beyond it, well, you become unstoppable. Let me offer you a new narrative, one that honors your pain but also honors your power. You can try speaking this out loud. I am no longer telling the story where I was powerless. I'm learning from the patterns that shaped me. I am taking responsibility for my part with compassion. I'm choosing new behaviors, new boundaries, and new ways of loving. I'm reclaiming my life piece by piece, moment by moment, and I'm becoming someone I'm proud to be. This is the story that will change you. This is the story that will carry you into your next chapter, whole, grounded, and conscious. And so, my dear friends, thank you for spending time with me today. You are doing such brave work by being here, and I hope today gave you a deeper sense of agency, of clarity, and of possibility. If you're ready to go deeper, to uncover your patterns and break them for good, and step into the most empowered version of yourself, I invite you to book a free Breakup to Breakthrough discovery call with me. Together, we'll look at where you are and what's keeping you stuck, and how you can start consciously creating the life and the love you deserve. The link is in the show notes, and I would truly love to support you. So until next time, take care of your heart, trust your becoming, and remember, you are not broken. You are becoming.